in the Spanish capital, Catalunya. I'm here with Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hello, Matthias. Good evening, everyone. Looking forward to another exciting installment of Formula EuroLeague racing.
Yeah. We're here with 20 drivers. In the Mercedes, we have Michael and Simon. In the Ferrari, Season 4 champion and Casey, who makes his debut in Tier 1. In the Red Bull, we have Sam and TTV iQuicks. In the Renault, we have the good scoring Danny and Uran. And in the Haas, we have last time out surprise of the week Monster and Karam. Steve makes his return in the McLaren seat next to his team boss Killer 7. Kai Elting, the championship leader, is in his Racing Point next to his teammate Ice-T Beats, or Ice-T. Matthias and Bendo on the Alfa Romeo got their first points last time out in Bahrain. Donkey and Lorenzo Bandini in the Toro Rosso, and Luke and Tim in the Williams. Tim switched from Red Bull to Williams, and well, let's see what he can do as we're starting the qualifying session.
Yeah, it's an exciting dynamic. Of course, the first two races of the season, Matthias, have been extremely entertaining so far with plenty of action. But the question remains, after two races, we seem to have seen the emergence at long last of Kai KJ Elting. Two pole positions in a row in Australia and Bahrain. Obviously came second in Australia, got the win in Bahrain at long last, finally managed to break his duck. And he's looking in red-hot form at the moment, and certainly rattled a few feathers among the upper echelons of the field. But, of course, that's what we like to see from our top racers, be competitive, be very, very consistent. And, of course, it looks like after Australia, where we thought that our champion Dar FIFA may run away with it, we have a championship on our hands. And of course, Racing Point in the Constructors' Championship, looking very strong early on. Ice-T third in the championship as well, backing his teammate up very nicely, who in turn will be looking to try and win the championship himself. There's no way he's going to be playing the wingman role, but Racing Point and Ferrari certainly the class of the field so far. And as you mentioned, we've got Casey in today to replace Benjamin Ardapple Gamer, as obviously Benjamin hasn't had the best of starts to the season, but Casey's stepping into some big shoes, and I'm sure he will give it his all to make sure that he can give the Scuderia the best opportunity to continue their good start to the season as well.
Yeah, one or two driver moves has been made as Felix left Formula EuroLeague and he got replaced by Tim in the Williams. I'm quite curious to see what he can do in his first time out in the English team. We have Michael, who dominated here last season, but absolutely dominated it. We have the return of Steve. Hopefully a lot of action, and I think there's McLaren out already. It's either Killer 7 or Steve. It's Killer 7 who is on his out lap, so he's the first one out in this qualifying session.
Well, it's been a slow start for Maiko this season. Obviously, we expected him to respond very quickly to obviously coming runner-up last season and vowing to try and stay injury-free, stay healthy and fit, and really put together a title challenge this season. Hasn't got to the best of starts, of course, picking up a 9th position in Australia and finishing 5th in Bahrain, so not really where he wants to be, but the pace is there. He just needs to put it all together, and hopefully on race day can truly start to get his championship campaign underway. It has to start today because he's already losing ground to his previous rival Dar FIFA and KJ Elting as well, so hopefully for Maiko he can really pull it together this weekend. As you mentioned, of course, Williams, a brand new team, Matthias, from the championship winners of last season. Of course, Felix has now moved on, will no longer participate in Formula EuroLeague for the foreseeable future, which will be a shame. Felix will be missed. I certainly will miss him. A good friend of mine as well in other leagues, so wish him the best of luck in his future endeavours. But of course, Luke and Tim Wentig very capable of stepping up to fill that mantle and try and get Williams back into contention. Of course, they haven't yet scored a point this season. Very uncharacteristic, despite not having the driver lineup that won the championship last season in emphatic fashion. They've got two drivers very much poised to get their own campaigns underway, and of course, in turn, get Williams back up the top of the pecking order where we feel that they belong in this Formula Euroleague.
Yeah, both drivers capable of winning championships. Tim has won one in other league, but I think they can. I think Tim can replace Felix, as Killer 7, who's on a lap, is here in big traffic behind the two Toro Rossos, and I think it's two Mercedes ahead of them. So he hopes to get been let past time any soon. Look how much dirty air he gets from the Toro Rosso of I don't know who. I think that is Yellow, but I'm not sure, as Killer 7 abandoned this lap.
Yeah, there was a lot of traffic, Matthias. You can see that a lot of guys out there trying to do their hot laps, but also running into guys that are trying to warm their tyres up. It's an absolute cluster, almost like you're waiting around in the shopping queue and everyone's got to try and maintain a 2-metre social distance from each other, but it's just not working at the moment. Everyone trying to get their laps in, and as I was saying, it's one of those circuits really that if you can pick the right moment and get a nice toe, you can really make up the time, especially down the back straight. Of course, 2 DRS sections on this circuit, down the back straight into turn 1, and of course a long straight from turn 9 to turn 10, as Thomas Starfifa sets the first lap.
Oh, interesting strategy. He's going on the soft. Maybe rain in the race then. Well,
there's quite possibly. There's going to be a mix of strategies at the moment. As we saw in the Formula Euroleague Division 2 race that we saw already, a lot of guys originally went for the harder tyres, decided to change that up and went for soft and mediums, and we ended up with 4 guys starting on the softs, which didn't really work out for them in terms of strategy in the race. Of course, that race was won by our Division 2 champion, Plajabol, managed to seal that title once and for all with 2 races to go, so congratulations to him. I'm expecting to see him in the top division very, very soon, so keep an eye out for him. And of course, the Ferrari team haven't won the championship yet for the constructors, but look very well poised to take that title as well. But you can see that in the Hungary race, Sunday lunchtime next week on Formula Euroleague's Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Formula_Euro_League, as Tim goes fastest in the Williams, Matthias. So I'm sure good to see Tim, very quick, accomplished driver, up at the top of the grid at the moment. Of course, plenty of time left to go, and Lorenzo
there's
Bandini.
A full wet race have confirmed from Bendal, as Michael, who dominated in season 4 here, is crossing the line in P7 only, so that's a bit of a disappointing lap from him, I think. Championship leader Kai Elting invalidated his lap. Now we'll go on board with Sam. Sorry.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, Matthias, the full wet race. I mean, if Bendel in the comment section, if he's right saying that is a full wet race, then it makes literally 0 sense for anyone to be on a tyre other than the softs. If it's going to be a full wet race, exactly. If it's going to be a full wet race from the start, there's no need to be doing lap times on the slower of the dry tyres. You better just pull on the softs. But it does look like it's going to be rain, as Monster puts in a monster lap. Pardon the pun.
Once again.
Monster's been very solid in qualifying. He's definitely improved his pace over 1 lap. Was very unfortunate, of course, went toe-to-toe with Kai in Bahrain and came off second best, which really detrimented his result. But he's a driver that's definitely a man on the mission at the moment. And looking a lot quicker, so he's definitely got a lot to say, of course, in qualifying. Got on the front row in Bahrain. Was very good in Australia as well, so I'm expected to see him go from strength to strength, keep doing what he's doing, and I'm sure the points will come.
Yeah, Monster might not be on a race ahead of them, because a 1:17.4 is a really good lap time, and we didn't really saw that in the practice. So you might be on a dry setup.
Time. Yeah, it's definitely a dry setup time.
Oh, what an amazing lap from Luke on the mediums. Wow. Just ahead of his teammate.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's going on the mediums. I mean, of course, it might not rain at the start of the race. We don't know that, of course, the commentators. We don't know what the weather's going to be like, so you guys will know more than we will. But nonetheless, if it is going to rain, it makes literally 0 sense to do a lap on the medium tyres. But Monster, as you've rightly pointed out, Matthias, does look like he's got a dry setup on at the moment. Of course, we'll find out in the race. If it does rain and he starts to struggle, that will confirm our theories. But then for all we know, he might have just put in a stellar lap on the soft tyres. I mean, the delta's around about half a second, 6/10 of a second between the two sets of tyres around here.
Yeah, so it's a good lap from Luke. As Casey, the Ferrari debutant, is crossing the line in P11, so he's splitting the two Mercedeses. DTV iQuicks then, tier 2 driver, only scored 1 point in the season so far, I believe. He's crossing the line with a slow, cancelled, abandoned lap, I think. Wow.
Yeah, TCV iQuicks, one of our Division 2 drivers as well, drives for Ferrari in Division 2, has had a hard time scoring points this season in Division 2, but I'm sure he knows what he needs to do to try and put it together, and obviously in the top tier as well. The eyes will be watching on him. He needs to try and see if he can take this opportunity and deliver.
Thomas is on the lap, and I think he is on an improvement. 118.6 I think he can do maybe, I think he can enter the 117s, as he's now entering the final part of Sector 2, and it's a purple Sector 2, 51.6 seconds.
But he's really going for it. He's ringing the neck of that Ferrari, Matthias. So you can see he's locking his brakes, trying to extract the maximum amount of the pace that the car and the setup will afford him. Right now, he's looking, it's pretty good at the moment. Of course, it's very tight at the top end, excluding Monster. As you can see, it's about 3 or 4 tenths between Monster and Darth Fever. What does Darth Fever do? Across the line, and he goes only 5th fastest. So, improved by 1/10.5, just ahead of Joran in the Renault, who is on a lap himself now, just about to start, but not a bad time from him. Of course, it does look like these guys are setting up for a wet race, and of course, Spain, not many wet races in the past. The famous of those that comes to mind was the 1996 Grand Prix from Michael Schumacher, his first win for Ferrari, quite fittingly, and I'm sure Darth Fever will be looking to try and a similar feat, of course, with the winner of the opening race of the season in Australia. Second in the Drivers' Championship. And yeah, as you see, Matthias Gamer going 4th fastest in the Alfa Romeo, so that's pretty good. Of course, we'll see in the race what sort of setups everyone is running, because the grid is quite mixed at the moment.
Yeah.
Drivers you wouldn't expect to be so. One thing to mention, Matthias, the Williams guys, second and third.
Good. Yeah, Luke on the medium tyres, so he probably can improve quite a lot on the soft tires if he will fit them under his car, as Joran is crossing the final corner in what this time going to, I think it's a good lap time, still on P7. Didn't improve.
Doesn't improve.
Oh.
There is a Bandini coming across the line. This looks like a quick time. He goes fastest.
What a lap. Probably also on a dry setup, but still good lap, just about in front of Monster.
Yeah, it's a good effort from him. He'd be pretty delighted with that. Of course, this is an opportunity for some of our midfield runners to try and see if they can get it on pole position. It's always nice to get a pole position regardless of what setup you're driving, as we see Luke about to start a flying lap for Williams on the soft tyres, so be good to keep an eye on him. As I said, the delta between the two sets of tyres tends to be around half a second to 6/10 around this circuit, so at the moment it's important to not discount as Kai goes third, and that was on his second lap on those softer tyres, so of course it doesn't really matter if it's a race, because you won't really have to start the race on those tyres. So right now
I'll go and work with Luke.
Yeah, it'd be good to follow him, because it's a 1:18.2 on the mediums. It's a very quick lap, almost a bit too quick for a wet setup, but we'll have to wait and see
maybe he's on the dry
what
one.
he does. Could be possible.
Or
we'll have to wait and see what he does.
Them. Maybe a dry wet setup. What a sector 2.
I mean, what would you for second up on his own time? So he set a purple sector 2. But yeah, if it were you, Matthias, what would you be going for in qualifying? Would you go for set up to give you a good qualifying position, or would you go for the race? Bear in mind, it may be a wet race.
Wet setup, because Spain is a track where you need the downforce. Only one long straight is the main straight, and the more downforce you have, the more you'll gain in sector 3 as he goes second fastest. Just misses out on pole with only 7 thousandths of a second. Sorry. So he has done a good job on the softer tires, but I think it might be a dry setup, or it might even be a dry race in the end. I don't know, I'll just have to see. Maybe it's a light rain race. If it's an intermediate condition, you could go on the dry setup, but it will be difficult, but it is doable. As Steve is on his lap, and we will go on board with him. Doesn't improve in sector 2, sorry. Now coming up to the tricky part of the circuit. It's a slow part, but you can lock up quite easily or lose the car. As you see him lock up, but he gets through nice and easy. Now coming around the final corner, he goes into the pit lane. So he goes into the pit lane, then we'll follow Donkey. Donkey is on 15th place at the moment. He's been looking quite good in the Red Bull so far this season. Sorry, in the Toro. So this is the team doing better than the actual team.
Well, yeah, he's sort of jumping in there at the moment. There's a lot less pressure this season for him to be in the Toro Rosso, and he's doing okay so far. He's picked up 6 points this season. Of course, did that in Australia, where he finished in 8th place. Sorry, not 8th place, 7th place I should say. As he comes across the line now to set his flying lap, and he goes 7th fastest. So yeah, I think Donkey's looked alright. There's a lot less pressure on him at the moment. So obviously Red Bull, very high pressure situation, almost like a pressure cooker really. You want to stay out of the furnace at the best of times. But he seems to have a bit of a new lease of life, and of course his teammate Lorenzo Bandini doing a good job at the moment, fastest of all. Of course the race will reveal what kind of setups these guys were running in qualifying. Of course the stopwatch does not lie. But
3 minutes remaining.
It's good to see Toro Rosso doing well. Yeah, 3 minutes remaining to this qualifying session now, just with Monster at the moment. This is coming through the final part of the lap now, on a fresh set of the softer tyres, negotiating the 2 chicanes. You really want to try and cut it a little bit as he's done there, but not too much to invalidate your lap. This comes through the final corner. Looks like he's abandoning this effort. And a 1:17.6, and he slowed right down, so that would have been pole position. So I'm a bit surprised as to why he abandoned that lap. Clearly, he was not happy with this set of tyres, and he's not going to get enough time.
Tim was really wide.
Yeah, Monster's not going to have enough time to go and do another lap if he, to put another set of tyres. So,
no.
A bit strange why he slowed down there.
Tim almost hitting Karam there, but he is completing his lap, and it's a mediocre lap from him. It's still good enough for 7th, improves 2.5 tenths, but he miscued in the beginning of sector 3, so I don't think he will be too happy with that. And we'll go on board with championship leader Kai Elding, who is starting his lap. You can maybe say Spain is a controller track, pet track. I'm not really sure about that. As he gets a purple sector 1 so far.
Just got Darth Fever coming across the line. I keep you updated with where he is after all. He goes 8th fastest, so yeah, I mean the setup's going to be a big factor in this race, and I think Thomas has never been the best qualifier, that we do know, and he's the first person to say that to us. He's never been a big qualifier, as he's just crashed it at the exit of turn 1, just for fun. But he's always come strong in the race, so we'll be keeping an eye out for him in the race as we go along. He does like to fight from the back, and he's very consistent and very fast in the race, and that's where the true strength lies in the race. As we've got Kai Elting now negotiating the final part of the lap now, currently 4th fastest on the softer tyres. He's only 0.08 of a second off the pole as it comes through the final corner now. Really hooks it up there, and he gets pole at the death. Kai Eltink on provisional pole once again, but of course Lorenzo Bandini's just started a lap. Luke is also on a lap, and Luke is about just under a tenth up on his first sector. So Luke flying also in the Williams.
Well, Monster retired. We'll spectate Luke, who is in the beginning of sector 3, no traffic ahead this time, so he has clear space ahead of him. Now negotiating, as you earlier said, the final 2 corners. It's a tricky one on the traction sometimes.
And he clipped the curb there, which really caused him to be a little bit unstable as he goes to the line now, goes onto the front row. So he lost a bit of time in that final sector, but that was a good effort from him, and that will put him on the front row of the grid. Lorenzo Bandini in 3rd position at the moment, hasn't improved at his opening 2 sectors, so he's got work to do in this final sector if he's going to join Kai on the front row of the grid. What can he do in the final few corners? Ice-T disqualified, so he will start from the back of the grid. Ice-T was 6th overall. He's going to be starting at the back, so 9th race point. He doesn't improve.
2 tenths behind his lap. Micah now entering the final part of the section. He's we have Sam yet. Sam also abandoning his lap, so I think we have our top 3. 3 different cars in the top 5. Sorry, 5 different cars in the top 5.
Yeah, KZ's nowhere on this lap, so that's the end of qualifying, Matthias, I believe. So we're just waiting for the last few cars to finish their laps, although no one is on a lap to improve.
Oh, don't go into the pit lane. So annoying. It only costs us more time. What's a race? I want to see what Tim can do from 6th place.
Once again, Matthias, Kai Eltink
on pole.
3 pole positions in a row. He seems to be the master of qualifying in Formula EuroLeague.
Yeah, I think Lorenzo Bandini could be really proud of himself, as he is in 3rd place. Just about in front of Monza, but still good lap from him. A bit of disappointment in the Ferrari garage, I think, in 7th and 15th place, but qualifying done then.
Yeah, so that's qualifying, yeah.
I'm going to run down the grid order. It's a Dutch 1, 2, 3. It's Kai Eltink for the 3rd time in a row on pole. Luke finally good qualifying after disaster in Bahrain. In P2, Jelle in P3, Monster P4. Again a good qualifying from him. Michael P5, Tim P6, Thomas P7, Matthias good in P8, Sam in P9, Donkey P10, Headcamper in 11th, Simon in 12th, Karen in 13th, Uran in 14th, Casey in 15th, iQuix in 16th, Magic Alonso in 17th, and the rest is a disqualification or hasn't set a lap time. Quite close to field, I think in the top 12 could be in 1 second. It is a rain race, so
and there we go, just as we were expecting from what we were told. It's going to be a wet race, so this is going to be very exciting. It'll be interesting to see who now will be exposed for running a dry setup in qualifying and who will be rewarded for running a wet setup. Of course, on the other side, Matthias, we could see who might be a bit too conservative. Don't be surprised if someone further down the order that went for a wet setup may fly through the field. Of course,
maybe
some of Michael Schumacher's famous drives, most notably here, and also in '96, and also in Belgium in 1997, where he was well off the pace in qualifying. I remember a story about that where he went for a very heavy wet setup when you had the Sunday warm-up session, so you had practice on a Sunday morning, and he was 20th overall out of 22 cars, and he ended up taking the lead of the race after starting 11th on lap 2, I believe it was, when he passed Jacques Villeneuve in the Williams, and he won the race by over a minute. In the wet weather, that's
paid off.
You know, the rain master himself, Michael Schumacher, and that is not up for debate. I don't care who you are. But I will argue that one to the death. But yeah, so we'll have to. So from one Rainmaster to potentially another Matthias, who in the field do you feel that is strong in the wet from what you've seen in the past? Who do
Michael
we
is
expect?
really strong. Thomas, if we had Felix still, he would be he would be my favorite. Maybe Kai, maybe a big surprise from Sam. Maybe one of the Renaults. I think Thomas, Tim and Michael make a good chance of gaining some positions. I don't think their lap time was on a wet setup. Thomas is the rain master, he is a good driver in the rain. So no doubt about that one. It's once again Kai taking pole. So that's a good thing in the Racing Point garage, and Williams finally seeing a light at the end of the tunnel.
Well, one driver in particular that needs to try and put in a strong wet weather performance is Ice-T, of course disqualified from qualifying whilst being 6th overall, which is a real shame for the Racing Point driver. It's the Racing Point sandwich, this grid. As Kai is showing how difficult it is in the wet on the formation lap, not that it will matter. But Ice-T, a driver that tends to struggle in the wet compared to the other drivers. He's a much more formidable character in the dry. So he's going to need a big performance today.
Yeah.
So, quick question, guys. Obviously, before they all line up for the grid. Now, for those of you who watched the FEL Division 2 coverage earlier, would know my question of the week was, who is the only female Formula 1 driver to score points, or score points in the championship, and that was Leila Lombardi. But the question for this week is simple. Kimi Raikkonen has failed to finish the Spanish Grand Prix 6 times. He's one away from the record. Which driver holds the record for the most DNFs in the Spanish Grand Prix? A total of 7. So let me know in the chat who you think that is, and I'll reveal that much later. But Matthias, they're all back to line up. It's time to send them off away under the lights for the Spanish Grand Prix.
We are here. Where are my 5 lights? See the lights of the cars on the near to the gearbox going on and off. It's 3, 4, 5 red lights, and away we go. The lights went quite long. I think Kai has a good start from the first place. Yellow looks all good. Everyone looks good off the line. What a start by Kai. Luke maybe have lots of wheels. The monster going down the inside, but can't keep on onto it. Maybe some collision in the back.
Luke's gone very wide into turn 1. He's going to have to take to the escape road, Matthias, and just avoid evasive action as Monster. What a start
Tim
from Monster.
Well. So Kai takes the lead still. Sam, good start from P9. Matthias, bad start from him. Yellow, oh no, from P3 down into last place. Ice-T already up into P15, so he had a good start. Steve as well fighting for the points with Joran, his former teammate at Ferrari, I think he was. Not a good start from the reigning champion, but a good start from the reigning championship leader. So no big collisions so far.
Yeah, it was a great getaway from Kai, exactly what he needed. A good, subtle, straight getaway from the rest of the field. Of course, Luke in turn did not have a good getaway, and now he's down to 3rd place, fending off his teammate Tim Wenting. Monster had a lightning start, got up the inside in 2nd place, the best starter of the lot. Amazingly, Steve Magic Alonso moved up 6 places, up into 11th place. Ice-T moved up to 15th position, so he's climbed up 5 places. So his recovery has started very, very well. But now Kai leads the way after lap 1, a 2.5 to Monster, followed by the 2 Williams drivers as Tim gets very loose there out of the final corner. Now he's going to have to fend off Mike, who's got a great run on him. As we go, the Mercedes driver now pulls along. Which side is going to go to the right hand side? Is he going to go for a lunge up the inside? Tim brakes very late, but Tim's struggling to get it slowed down. He's going to compromise his entry into turn 2. He goes to the escape road a little bit. Maiko has to take evasive action to avoid the Williams, but he looks like Tim is just about going to hold on. Or is he not? No. Maiko just about holding on to the rear of that Mercedes just to try and keep it going in the straight line, and somehow both guys are able to continue just as they were. The racing is getting very good, very quick and early on in this one, Matthias.
The cars behind really bunched up behind Tim. Tim leading a little bit of a train. When Tim spins new team, he did after Felix left. He replaced Felix and Sam, who is now P6, replaced him at Red Bull, the reserve. Tim struggling to keep up with his teammate, and once again, it's Monster and Kai in P1 and 2. Last time out it was Monster P1 and Kai P2. Monster can't keep on with the pace of Kai, so he needs to watch his mirrors for Luke. And oh, there's a yellow flag for Killer 7, I think. Look how far Lorenzo Bandini is. He might have to pit for a wing change.
Yeah, he had to pit. He pit he had some wing damage. So he's had to pit. So he's got a fresh new set of wet tyres on, but he's a good 20 seconds back. Of course, further, Phil Bendel's had an incident in the Alfa Romeo, which has caused him to drop down to 18th. TTVI Quicks further ahead in 17th in the Red Bull. He really needs to get a move on to try and recover his race. But further up the field, Matthias.
Michael,
as we can see,
not going for it. Tucks in behind Tim. Tim wants to get deep on the brakes.
Yeah, he's very late on the brakes, so he's having a hard time getting that Williams slowed down.
Yeah,
and it's Killer 7.
I'll continue. Sure.
But yeah, as you said, Kai doing a great job at the front, getting away. 3 seconds now, the gap to Monster in second place. As we said before, Monster and Kai, no strangers to leading 1 and 2. Of course, it was the other way around in Bahrain, with Monster coming off second best, having a spin at the exit of turn 2. Hopefully for him today, if he does come into a similar incident, he'll be able to get a bit more luck and carry on without losing so many places. He does need to capitalise on this qualifying, because he's quick over 1 lap, but in the race he really needs to make sure that he can bring that car home and bring home the points for the Haas team.
Yeah, that's absolutely true what you're saying. I think Tim is deep on the brakes because he's driving no assist, so it's difficult to spot the braking zones. As Michael is really close to touching the gearbox of Tim. But just avoiding the Williams cars. Michael needs to watch his mirrors from his Stone Age rival Thomas, who are having fun out and on track. Yeah, Tim needs to defend from Michael, and Michael also now needs to watch his mirrors from Thomas, who just tries to do a little bit of a switchback move. You see Michael a bit sliding on the final corner. There's a yellow flag for his teammate, so Casey spun entering this slow section of sector 3. Tim doesn't get too deep on the brakes this time. No attempt from Michael still. His teammate is stuck behind Donkey. Donkey has been doing quite good this season so far, and Simon got a good P2 in last time out in Bahrain, and he needs to get the 40 points with 2 races to spare.
Yeah, Bot Torment was one of the guys that stayed out when the safety car came in. Very nearly won the race as well. Of course, that paid off very nicely for him. Of course, with the chaos ensuing behind him, he was able to take full advantage, despite at the time it seemed like an almost brain-dead strategy call, but it worked for him, and he's doing okay job in 9th place, but he needs to try and move forward up the field now, as we've just seen a battle between the 2 championship protagonists from last season, Maiko and Darfifa Thomas. Right behind him in the Ferrari, up into 6th place. He's got ahead of Sem now, and Maiko having a hard time now trying to get ahead of Tim. Tim's to have found his groove, and is now keeping the 2 top 2 from last season's FVL Championship behind him very nicely now, as you can see Darth FIFA starting to have a look at opportunities where he can try and go for a move up the inside of Maiko, and I think you're going to start to see Maiko and Darth FIFA get very impatient. Well, there's no DRS in wet weather, of course, so
DRS is managed. He is really close to the back of Maiko. Both have slipstreams, no DRS. Maiko goes into the mirrors of Tim, and Thomas in the rear mirrors of Maiko, and look how Tim is struggling to keep up with his teammate. So he might be on the dry setup there.
Well, what we're seeing, Matthias, at the moment is because Luke's pulled away from his teammate, Tim's having a hard time down the back straight trying to use the slipstream to pull him towards his teammate, and then he went on the grass a little bit. It's gone wide now as Michael goes for a move around the outside. He's going to make a slip. There's a lot more traction on the outside, off the racing line, almost the carting line, and you can see Tim squeezes him. He gives him no room at all, and that's going to allow Darth FIFA to move on the inside of turn 7, but surely the Tim is going to be able to hold on to that position with the inside turn 8 and 9. And well, I'll tell you what, Tim was a bit naughty there. Didn't really give Maiko any room around the outside of turn 5. So yeah, a little bit naughty there from
I think
Tim.
hard racing.
It's hard racing, but you always need, as Fernando Alonso says, you have to live in the space every time. So yeah,
Tim,
you know, so
hard
yeah,
one to
Tim,
pass.
probably a bit of a warning there for Tim. I know he's your guy, but gotta be fair now. But Darth Fever now right behind Tim.
What's on the edge?
I was going to say, obviously, the problem that Tim is having is he's not behind his teammate to get that slipstream, whereas all of the guys in the train all have slipstream on the car in front. And while that's all fine and well, the only driver that's going to be able to make use of that is Darth FIFA behind Tim, because Tim is not getting a tow. Everyone else is getting a tow from the car ahead of them, so they're easy enough to defend now. Let's come down the back straight now. Is Darth FIFA going to look for a move to the inside? Oh, he has a look, but Tim shuts the door in his face. And
yeah.
He's got to be careful, Darth FIFA. Tim is not going to give that position up, and at the moment he's doing a good job. He's putting up Williams in all the right places to defend, and whilst he's losing ground to the top 3 ahead of him, he's doing a good solid job in 4th place. Williams definitely looking in a good position to try and get their first championship points this season, and boy do they need them.
Yeah, Tim, as you said, defending as Thomas gets a bit of a tank slapper on the end. Micah as well, badly on the traction. This allows Micah to close up to Thomas, but Micah also now has the Red Bull of Sam in his mirrors. This might be the chance of Tim to pull away from the top 5, to close the gap to his teammate, but it's still really close here. Look how close they all are. Luke is also closing into Monster, so 9/10 behind, so he might wants to push to Kai when he passes Monster. First he has to have to pass him.
Well, I'm just looking at the onboards of some of the drivers, Matthias, and I'm noticing that as Kai does the fastest lap of the race, Monster is using a lot more of his ERS, a lot more of his battery than everybody else. Whilst everyone has a fairly full battery, Monster's is only about half full. So he's pushing. He's really pushing hard to try and stay with Kai, but it's to no avail, and he's pushing to stay ahead of Luke. And you probably find that as this race unfolds, Monster's going to have less battery to use, and that's going to pull him right back into the clutches of Luke. And Luke is looking very well poised at this point of the race to try and get ahead of Monster. At this time, Kai is in a league of his own at the moment, and is driving a very good race. But behind him, the battle's going to get very tasty in the next few laps.
There's a yellow flag. It's for Steve. No. After having such an amazing start, he spun his car on lap 7 of the 33 laps.
Yeah, he went wide at turn 3, and yeah, that's completely wrecked his race now, and he's going to have to pull over to the outside to try and defend from iQuicks, but he's on dirty tyres. It's got gravel over him. As you can see, iQuicks able to get the move done up into 16th place, is having a race of his own at the moment as well, so he's struggling, but such a shame for Steve. Inaugural champion.
Oh, Tim and Thomas were really close. Tim probably really struggling to get on the brakes on time, as those guys are breaking away from Sam, who might be struggling as well. 6 seconds is almost the gap from P1 to P2, as Kai sets another fastest lap. So is he going to make it 2 wins in a row?
He's looking in a very good position to make that a reality at the moment. But this is the thing, Tim down the back straight, using a bit more of his battery than Darth FIFA behind him, and he's able to get a good exit out of the final part of the lap, Matthias, which is allowing him to pull away from the Ferrari and give himself the buffer he needs to defend. And as we can see, for all this might, Darth FIFA just can't seem to find a way through at this point in time.
Yeah, Thomas is really close to the gearbox of Tim, but obviously it's raining, and then it's more difficult to pass. And Spain is a track where you can pass someone, but it's not easy. The biggest opportunity is turn 1 and the hairpin coming into sector 3. So yeah.
Yeah, you're right. It's a track where there aren't many overtaking opportunities at the best of times. It's always, I'll tell you what, Tim went very wide at turn 9 there. Just managed to keep that Williams under control now. As Darth FIFA looks to the inside, he's going to go for the move. He just can't quite get alongside him. And Tim just about holding on to that position. I'll tell you what, he must be under some serious pressure. You can tell the amount of pressure that he's on at the moment, but he's just about keeping it together at this point in time. Can he hold his nerve? How steely is that mental strength of Tim's, or will it crack under pressure? When you've got the two championship protagonists from last season right behind you, looking very racy and looking like they want to get on with their races, it can put even the best of drivers out of their rhythm. And so we're starting to see a few mistakes creeping into Tim's driving at the moment. Can he hold his nerve? Can he keep it together? And we've got plenty of racing to go now. We've got 24 laps of this, so Tim's going to have to get used to seeing the side. Ice-T in the pits now. So yeah, Tim's going to have to get used to seeing that Ferrari Mercedes behind him. Ice-T in the pits, first driver to pits. Obviously, he's having a hard time once to get their wet tyres off. He had damage as well.
It's a shame.
I mean, being disqualified from qualifying has really compromised his race, and if the wet weather wasn't hard enough for him, now he's got to do it from the very back of the field, which is a shame for him, but it happens sometimes. That's racing for you. Sometimes it can be a day, and sometimes it can be nowhere. Even the best of us.
It really is. Tim, he has probably more sweat than rain in his cockpit, as it's raining really hard, but he is sweating to defend from Thomas. Daniel Ricciardo would say sport athlete sweat, something like that. But look how hard he's trying to find the good braking points on the turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, probably turn 9 or 10. But look how hard he's trying to defend from the reigning champion Thomas, who probably, if he passes him, would come close to his teammate, so he might play a little bit as a wingman. There's something loose between my legs. It's probably his feet are underwater from his sweat. I
think I get that reference. There's FEL Ferrari. Yeah, I get that reference. Very funny.
Yeah. Yes, Steinitz says Tim is holding up the pack. Well, he is. He is defending for his teammate. As there's a 3.6 second gap, as Luke can't get close to Monster. Ooh, Steve 10-second time penalty, so he has been a naughty boy. Same for Eikwicks. But Tim really good defending from him, also quite fair. Maybe a little bit naughty with the Maiko, but I think it was just on the edge of being penalized and not being penalized. But I think Tim is just on the edge, and I think he can be proud of himself defending from two champions.
Well, we're starting to see the real effects of what is happening with Tim, and the guys behind him just cannot get past him, because right now it's allowing Luke to pull away. He's now nearly 4 seconds ahead of these guys, and the gap is increasing, and whilst Luke is within a second and a half of Monster ahead of him, it's becoming quite a tall order now for Thomas Darfifa and Maiko FEO_AMG 44 to really get a move on, because those two definitely have the pace to catch up to the top three, but right now as it stands they can't clear Tim, and that's really compromising their race. They're always within half a second of Tim, and Tim is doing an excellent job making that Williams as wide as a couple of London buses in rush hour traffic. He's doing an excellent job on his debut out for Williams, and clearly he's reached the ceiling of his pace, but he's doing what he needs to do to hold on to that fourth position. He's driving within himself, and when you do that, Matthias, you don't often make mistakes. You're in a rhythm, you're in your focus. As long as you can stay in that zone, it'll be a very difficult task for Darfifa and Maiko to get ahead of him.
What did I wanted to say? Yeah, Tim makes no mistakes really. Maybe sometimes too early on the traction or braking a little bit too late, but he's in his own little bubble. Doesn't get he doesn't really pay attention to Thomas, only when it comes to defending from or switching line. So he's really just about enough in front to prevent Thomas making a move. But yeah, Simon's still stuck in P9. Sam falling a bit away from Maiko, and Luke closing up to Luke, as
And
Tim
that's-
gets a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that seems to be the first big mistake from Tim. Obviously, he's had a few warnings about his conduct around this track in terms of track limits. And, yeah, 3-second time penalty now. That's going to unsettle him a little bit. He'll be aware of that. And let's see if it creeps into his drive. I mean, will he stick to his current tactic? Or will he try now to let loose a little bit and try and see if he can go faster than he is? Because at the moment, whether they know it or not, Darth FIFA and Maiko are now going to be ahead. And Tim goes very wide into turn one. I just called it earlier on that this might creep into his racing. And you've seen the first
3-second time penalty.
huge mistake. Yeah, absolutely. And now we're going to start to see, is the nerves broken? Are we going to see cracks now start to form? Big cracks start to form in Tim's driving now. Darth FIFA, surely now this is the opportunity to make the move. He's gone
He
very,
goes down
very
the
wide. He's
inside.
around the inside into turn number 6. Can he get the move done? There's a lot more traction around the outside, so Tim is still there, but it looks like Darth FIFA's got the drive out of Ferrari and
Then
finally
lets him go.
gets the move done.
Oh,
He was
finally for
patient.
Thomas.
And we were saying that it was inevitable almost. Tim could only sustain the level of pressure for so long before eventually cracks started to appear, and now they have. And now Maiko behind him has got to do the same thing now. Darth FIFA has been released. What can he do? What can the champion do to chase down Luke, Monster, and probably not Kai, who's in a league of his own, as we've already said. 8.5 seconds up the road, setting fastest lap after fastest lap. I feel like he's holding out on us, Matthias, at the moment. I feel like he can go faster than he currently is, but what a drive from him so far.
Yeah, he's doing really good in P1, but still he needs to hang on to it. I think he doesn't want a safety car to appear, so otherwise his lead will be gone and never come back forever, I think, because 8.5 seconds lead is really, really much to P2. Let's see, where are the battles on track?
Well, we've
Sam
had
is
safety
calling
cars
it
in both. Sorry, I was just saying, we had safety car in both races so far, Matthias. You're absolutely right to make that point. That Kai will be praying that he doesn't lose the lead that he's built up so well. And, he's already approaching the lap traffic. The 4 guys at the back, the 2 McLarens, TTVI Quicks, and Kazi making his first appearance for Ferrari. Not exactly going to plan at this point in time, but yeah, Kai absolutely flying. Just set a purple middle sector as well. And yeah, he's holding out on this. I'm wondering how much quicker Kai can go in this wet weather, because at the moment he's flying, but on 12-lap old wet tyres, which by no means are coming to the end of their life, although they will probably switch for a new set of tyres in the next 4 or 5 laps, as it's a one-stopper in wet conditions around this track. But he's absolutely flying, Kai. It's brilliant to see, and I don't know who can stop him at the moment. He's in red-hot form.
Another fastest lap.
There you go, just as I called it. He's just flying at the moment. Let's see further down now. Tim has fallen away from Darth FIFA, who has just gone into the pits now. So Darth FIFA, the first of the front runners to pit. Gotta say, I think that's a bit early.
Yeah.
And it was really sliding the Ferrari there to get it slowed down. It's going to have a new set of wet tyres. Is it, or is it going to be intermediates? It's intermediates, Matthias. So Darth FIFA feels that and that's probably right.
Gamble.
I think that's probably a smart move, actually.
It could be. It really could be.
Well, I'm basing this on Kai's pace, because Kai has been going faster and faster on the wet tyres, which may suggest that the track is starting to, well, not necessarily drying up, but there's less standing water.
Going for it. For P12.
Yeah, the 2 Alfa Romeos fighting each other there around the Renault curve. Getting very tasty between them two. Of course, this isn't for points, but certainly bragging rights amongst them two at the moment in time. But I'll be keeping an eye on... sorry, to see Alfa Romeos are still fighting each other. Oh, forcing them very wide there, shutting the door in his face, Bendel. But he gets the move done. I'm going to keep an eye on Darth FIFA's pace relative to the leaders to see if those intermediate tyres are paying off for him. Because if they are, everyone else is going to want to jump on them. He's going to be the guinea pig to see if it's going to work out. For this to be an important stage in the race for Darth FIFA. He's taken the gamble with the top 3 ahead of him. He's got traffic ahead of him though, and they're probably going to be there for another couple of laps. So hopefully for him, 1, they won't hold him up, and 2, The gamble's paid off. He set a purple middle sector, Matthias, so those inters are looking very quick already. So yeah, I would say it looks like it's going to be time for intermediate tyres for the front runners, but will they go for them or will they stay on the wets? If they get it wrong, they're going to have to make another stop, and that's going to cost them track position.
The Mercedes is into the pits going on.
So Simon, what's he going to put on? He's put on wets.
Oh.
So Simon has put on wet tyres.
Interesting.
So clearly, Vauxhall Men's doesn't feel that the intermediate tyres are all the way to go at this point in time in the race. So yeah, such a delicate situation as to what tyres to put on, really. Just going to keep an eye on Darth Fever's pace, although he isn't counting traffic. So this is going to become a bit of a problem for him as he tries to negotiate his way past the Alfa Romeos. Of course, no ties between Ferrari and Alfa Romeo like we do in the real F1 world, so it looks like Darth Fever's going to have to get these moves done legitimately. He's not going to have anyone holding his hand or helping him out, but he's going to have to clear them as soon as he can. He does not want traffic, as Ice-T and Lorenzo Bandini have both pitted onto intermediate tyres now, as for some strange reason TTVI Quicks is on the softs. Probably just having a bit of fun at the back of the field there, but yeah, I digress.
Why would you go to the soft?
My guess is that he's just having a little bit of fun now as Kai sets another fastest lap on the wetter tyres. So it does look like the intermediate tyres are starting to be the choice of tyre to be on right now. As it's the only explanation. If Kai's pace is so good on these wet tyres after being 15 laps old, one of the only explanations has to be the track is getting better for the wet tyres. So the intermediates seem to be the way to go. So Darth Fever's still stuck behind the Alfa Romeo, so the cut-off point may be there, but it's not exactly cut and dry right now, because Darth Fever's not exactly dicing his way through the field as we expected. So still a little bit more time needed, perhaps, until we know for sure what the tyre to be on is for the second stint. Of course, Darth Fever's going to have to take those to the end of the race, so he's not going to want to burn them up. He was running a net 4th place, so he does not want to waste those tyres too soon, and the others are going to be on much fresher tyres regardless of what compound they decide to put on.
That is absolutely true. Luke is closing up to Monster in 2nd place, so the first points this season for Williams might be even their first podium for this season, as Tim is 4.7 seconds behind, so he might find his rhythm back again.
Well, one thing that surprised me, Matthias, is now that Darth Fever had cleared Tim, we kind of expected Maiko to close up right behind him and try and get the moves done on the track like he did earlier, but that hasn't really happened. If anything, he struggled to really get right up behind Tim. Speaking of getting close up behind, of course now Luke, less than 7 attempts, he's really having a hard time holding on to that Williams. It's sliding everywhere. He's right up to Monster's gearbox now, so it looks like Monster is going to have a whole lot of Williams as Tim and both in the pitch, yeah. So let's see what tyres they put on. Are they going to go inters? They're going to go wets. Maiko puts on the wets, so does Tim. Oh no, sorry, Tim is just going into his garage now. So Maiko's on the wets, Tim also on the wets. Is he going to get out in front?
Thomas has the fastest lap on the inters.
Yeah, there you go. So by that logic, Matthias, the intermediate tyres are probably the way to go at this point in time, but it's so close, the cut-off between the two. You really could be on either set of tyres and it would be okay, but as we see, Darth Fever a massive undercut now, 3 seconds ahead. Despite having traffic, those inter tyres look pretty good for him at the moment, but we'll have to wait and see if that is the right strategy to be on at the moment.
If Tim pits, we might see top 3 pit as well, as the gap is 12.5 seconds to Kai from Monster.
Well, I think the way Kai's driving, the way Kai's driving at the moment, he could put on the soft tyres and probably still win this race the way he's going. But he stays out another lap, so he's not pitting yet, which is a bit of a surprise, but perhaps he feels that he's going quick enough that he will be able to stay out another few laps, and maybe by then he might have more data available to him to make a more informed decision.
Tim is battling with Maiko, as Tim might be forced off track and getting another penalty.
Yeah, Maiko's made that move. He's got it done. Tim's not giving it up though. Tim put his nose really where it was only going to get clipped off there, and he's very, very lucky there. But yeah, Maiko's got that move done. So now Darth FIFA's been released now as Bendel goes into the pit. So we're going to start to see how quick Darth FIFA is now. He's got a clear track ahead of him. He's about 15.5 seconds behind Sem in 4th place. But crucially though, Spot Torment, Simon in the Mercedes sets a new fastest lap on the wet tyres. So right now, Matthias, either set of tyre is probably okay. Yeah. We're literally in the mid. We're literally on the line of the cut-off point right now between the wets and the inters.
It is. What price would you go for, Adam?
Well, I mean, I'm the sort of driver that rather than take the risk, I like to sort of wait and see what other people do, and if it works for them, try and take advantage. But if it were me, I would probably go onto the inters, but probably do it now as Ice-T sits the fastest lap of the race. I wouldn't have pit as early as Darth FIFA had, that's for sure. I wouldn't have taken that risk, but yeah, right now I'd say the inters are probably the way to go right now as we're starting to see the change. But either tyre at the moment is so close to call. I mean, Ice-T is on a
Luke
clear
goes
track.
into the pit lane.
Yeah, so now we'll start to see what does Luke decide to do. We're at the halfway point of the race now, so we'll start to see what do the leaders do. Is Luke going to try and undercut Monster? This could be a very effective strategy for him, but it will depend on what set of tyres he puts on.
Sem is joining him. He's going to the
inters. Yes, Sem is going into, so is Luke.
Yeah. Let's see where he comes out, and where Monster comes out.
Well, look at Darth FIFA. Darth FIFA is coming alongside him, so this could be a position change here. Can he get the move around the outside? He's going to be on Monster.
Contact!
And Luke. Oh, that was such a shame for him, and he's going to lose more ground. And
oh no.
Well, Darth FIFA was coming at a rate of knots around the outside, and to be honest, he did squeeze him a little bit there. I don't think there was anywhere for Luke to go on the inside there, and unfortunately he got tagged and sent into a bit of a spin there. I would have to say that, I mean, from where I saw it and only got one look at it, I think Darth FIFA could have given Luke a bit more space around the outside. There was nowhere for Luke to go.
It's a weird pit action when you go side by side, but I think the stewards will have a look into it. Luke losing 2 positions in the end, so he's potentially in P5.
But crucially, Matthias, the power of the undercut and those intermediate tyres is there for everyone to see.
Monster goes into the pits. Where will he rejoin?
I mean, the inters are clearly faster now. We said it was close to the cutoff, but you see now Kai has put on the intermediate tyres. He should be fine. He shouldn't have to worry at this point in time. Monster, what does he put on? He's just pulling into his box now. But of course, Monster, where is he going to come out in relation to Darth FIFA? Because Darth FIFA and Luke were right neck and neck, and Luke had an extra lap undercut. So Darth FIFA coming down the back straight now, he could take 2nd place. I think he will. It's coming through there now. There's Monster, and almost like a carbon copy of the lap before. Here comes Darth FIFA around the outside into turn 1. Will these two avoid contact? Monster, this time sensibly, does not put his car where Luke did on the last lap, and Darth FIFA, there you go, Matthias. The power of the undercut and the intermediate tyres. Darth FIFA climbing all the way from 4th into 2nd place now.
Into the pits for wets.
Yes, Tim has put on. Has Tim got that? Did Tim have damage?
No, just switching touches. I put 3 tyres is going to be out of a safety car.
So it looks like Tim had realised that he was on the wrong tyre after that pit stop, and now he's down all the way down in 13th. What a shame for Tim, doing so well. And yeah, the wet tyres now, so the cut-off point, we've passed that now, so the wet tyres are definitely not the right ones to be on. And crucially, Matthias, both Mercedes, Maiko and Simon are on the wet tyres, so
they might also be on the wrong strategy.
It looks like they are going to find that out very, very soon now as Luke
ran as well.
And yeah, they're starting to fall back now. The inter tyres are definitely the tyres to be on.
There's a yellow flag for who?
Ice-T again.
Oh no.
He's had a nightmare race today. It's not really been his day today. You can see Luke really wringing the neck out of that Williams around the final corner, but we're going to start to see, looks like the wet tyre runners are going to start to struggle as there's just not enough water on the circuit now to really penalise the inter-runners now. They seem to be in their element, and we're going to see a big train starting to form up behind Maiko.
Oh wait,
yeah,
he
so
did
we haven't took him off the pitch, yeah.
Totally forgot.
That's quite alright. But Monster looks like he's got those tyres warmed up now, those inters. He seems to have got them back into a working temperature, and he's closing the gap now to Darth FIFA right behind him. So looks like Monster's going to get very... He didn't expect to see Darth FIFA ahead of him after the pit stop, I can assure you that, but it looks like he's going to have a whole lot of fun battling with the current reigning defending champion, who really needs to try and get a move on, because he's at risk of losing more ground to Kai, who, as we said, is in a different race to everybody else today. Kai, 15 seconds ahead, and the Ferrari behind him is not the Ferrari he needs to worry about. That's just how good he's been today.
I don't think Thomas... Oh, I see retired. I don't think Kai can make... Oh, sorry, Thomas can make it on the rest of those intermediate tires.
Well, he's going to have to.
He has to.
The way this race is going, he's got no choice. And you can see Kai a second faster than anybody else, setting the fastest up in the race, 1:33.4. So he's going for the Grand Slam himself this weekend. Pole win and the fastest lap.
Leading every lap. That's
as he has done, yeah.
I know how to pronounce it. I once heard it on an F1 YouTube video. Something like, yeah. He's been the class of the field, let's say it like that way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And
there's a yellow flag for Ice-T.
Yeah, it's out of the race. His bot is just controlling.
Oh,
and Sam has gone very wide out the Renault's curve there. Got very close to Simon Bottormens, almost a bit too close. Manages to hold on without any damage. So the only thing that's going to be dented a little bit is his pride, but I'm sure he'll be fine. And we'll have to resume, regain, and try and close up to that Mercedes as well. Further up the field, obviously we were saying about the wet tyres starting to struggle, but Maiko edging away from Luke in fourth position. So clearly Luke doesn't seem to be anything wrong with that Williams from what we can see, but he's struggling a little bit. So maybe he's got a bit of damage on that front wing that we can't see, because he seems to be struggling getting that car turned in. And you can see Simon Bottormens behind him, is right up behind him, so Luke is struggling after that earlier contact with Darth FIFA.
Yeah, Kai once again, fastest lap. Yeah, Luke is really struggling. I think it's raining harder now, so the Mercedes might be on the right strategy as well.
I'm not so sure. I mean, it's a good point, but Kai is still flying on the intermediate tyres. Oh, and Luke is really struggling. I think Luke has suffered a little bit of damage on the front wing of that Williams. We can't see it, the end plates are intact, but he might have a yellow front wing after that collision with Darth FIFA earlier on. And that might be what's upsetting us. Maiko's gone very late into turn one, and that will allow... sorry, not Maiko, Simon, I should say, gone very late to turn one. That's going to allow Sem, who was a second behind, to really get up to the gearbox of that Mercedes. Is Sem going to go for a move at the inside? He does, and Bottormens leaves the door open, and it looks like Sem is going to get that move done, and he's up.
Whoa.
Yeah, there you go. Good move from Sem, very patient after that mistake on the previous lap, and Simon making a similar mistake. But that has cost him a position. Sem up into 6th place now, so he can get after Luke. But yeah, as we were saying before, I don't feel like the wet tyres are the tyre to be on at this point. I feel like Maiko's still dropping back from the guys ahead of him, but Luke, I feel he has damage. He must have damage.
Might get out of his rhythm and now trying to regain it. I don't know.
I say that because I'm looking at the gap between Monster and Maiko, and the gap is slightly increasing. So for all his might and all his ability, Maiko, he's just not able to keep up with the inter-runners ahead of him. But Monster, likewise, is starting to fall away from Darth FIFA. So Darth FIFA's pace is there for all to see on those inter-tyres, despite having them on 6 or 7 laps more than everybody else. But at the moment, he's leading the Formula Euroleague B race, whereas Kai is in a race on his own at the moment.
Formula League 1.5.
Yeah.
Are there any other battles on track? There's a yellow flag for Yellow, who had such a good qualifying in P3 but not making it into the race. Adam, can you watch the penalties being requested in the chat?
Yeah, I'm just looking at those now. I can tell you that right now, not a lot of penalties to talk about in this race, Matthias. I'm just having to flick through to see who has penalties, but I can tell you everyone, for the most part, is being very well behaved. The top 10, none of them have penalties at this point in time. I'm just looking forward to see who is the leading driver with a penalty. And yeah, so Tim Wentink in 13th is the leading driver with a penalty. He's got 2, in fact. So everyone ahead of him in the top 12, very well behaved at the moment. As Kai does another fastest lap. He's just showing off now. We get it, you're quick. he's doing a great job out in front. It's good to see.
I really hope Monster gets this podium.
Well, right now Monster is having a hard time keeping up with Darth Vader. He's around a tenth or two a lap off his pace, but he's comfortably faster than Maiko in third, who likewise is comfortably faster than Luke, who is having a hard time keeping Sem and Octor Menz behind him. So right now Monster probably in the mindset where as long as he doesn't try to overexert himself, he is well poised to get a podium position. Of course things can change, but right now he's probably thinking just bring the car home and you've got yourself a podium, and he needs to score points in this championship. He's been very unfortunate not to capitalise on brilliant qualifying performances this season, as we've seen already. And right now he's in a good position, very quick, very comfortable, doing a great job in the Haas, and he'll be looking forward to getting that podium first of the season. 15 championship points coming his way.
Really wide. This allowed Sam to get closer and closer to his VRL season 4 teammate. The two being a bit of best friends in league racing. If you get them into your team, you have both of them. Which is not true here, as those two guys are the closest to each other on the field.
What we're saying about Monster trying to keep his nerve and bring it to the end. He's had a hard time trying to negotiate traffic. He's lost a second on this lap to Darth FIFA and a further 0.7 of a second to Maiko behind him. So he's just got to keep his cool. Don't get rattled. Stay in your rhythm. Do what you've been doing and you'll get the podium. But at the moment, we'll have to wait and see at this point in time. It's more about a mental battle for these guys out there rather than speed at this point in time. They'll put 1 foot wrong and then they'll be in the barrier. If you like, yes.
Fatality.
Seeing in the chat as well, Kerem almost in the points, yes. Kerem running an 11th place in the other halves while his teammate... Yeah, it's currently 5.5 seconds behind Joran, who is on the wet tyres. So Kerem on the intermediate tyres, if he can keep the pace up, he might be able to catch Joran before the end of this race. Of course, we've got just under 8 laps to go in this race. So we'll be keeping an eye on Kerem to see if he can get into the points, to see if Haas can score a double points finish. Didn't think we'd say that in Formula Euroleague anytime soon, but it's almost there for us to see. Haas be very happy with their drivers today.
Yeah.
But of course, Bendel right behind him in the Alfa Romeo, who likewise need points as well this season, and Bendel looking a lot faster than Kerem at the moment, so we could see a position change between those two anytime soon.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on that battle. Bendel getting a little bit of a moment here and there. Lucas having some banter in the chat with saying, if Paul still drove for Haas, you would never have to say double points for Haas. Oh, he was fast in season 3.
Yeah, but it's not in this division, unfortunately, so I just have to say it as I see it. But of course, I mean, we do joke and jest every so often, but no, it's great to see. Particularly Monster. I mean, this is the guy that's put in a lot of good performances in the past, especially last season towards the tail end. You could see the improvements was there for everyone to see, and it's good to see he's managed to keep going this season, really put the hours in practice, really put the effort in, and it's starting to come to fruition now. He's running in the top 3, very comfortable at the moment, and as long as he doesn't make any mistakes and keeps it all together, he'll come home and get a very well-deserved podium position.
It's a bit of a train driving, or a train starting to form behind Luke, from 5th to 9th place. Danny Hetkamper doing really well in the Renault. The Renault team doing well this season long, so they could be proud of themselves as Danny gets a penalty as first. But still a long way to go in this race.
Yeah, I mean, Renault in this championship, sorry Matthias, Renault in this championship, currently 4th overall in the championship, and of course they're battling with Mercedes at the moment. They're their closest rivals, and of course they're going to be losing ground to them in this championship, and Red Bull as well, a bit further back, so not a bad start for Renault. They'll be very happy with that, but 9th and 10th place, I'm sure Danny Hetkamper and Joran will want to be a bit further up the field to capitalise on their otherwise good start, but we haven't really seen many of the top drivers today fall out of the order.
There goes Luke! Oh no!
Commentator's curse striking there, and Luke once again. What happened there, Matthias? What a nightmare for Luke. Lost it out of the final corner. Obviously battling away with Sem, we didn't quite see what happened there. Or at least I didn't see what happened there. I'm not sure if Matthias had it on this screen. But
I had it on my screen, just tuned in.
Oh man, so I was just about to say that the front runners were keeping their heads and not really making mistakes, and then just like that, almost as if it's divine intervention, Luke once again has an incident, and that's dropped him down the order, down into 10th place. That really is not what he wanted, and that's allowed Danny Hetkamper and Joran to move into 8th and 9th place, so Renault will be very happy to get the extra points. And what a shame for Luke. Further up the order, Kai has just got a penalty, the race leader, but with 3-second time penalty. So I don't think he's really going to worry about that too much. He's 17 seconds clear of Darth Evo, who looks like he's settled for 2nd place. And just to show that Kai has pace in the bag, he sets a new fastest lap of 1:32.7. So yeah, he's having fun today out there on his own.
Boudewijn asked, does Luke has a race without a spin? He did in Bahrain, I think. Do you get a penalty for reset the track? No, only if it causes a dangerous situation.
Yeah, we should stress that while resetting to the track is encouraged, it has to be done in a safe environment. So of course, if you do that and immediately put yourself in front of someone to cause an accident, then that's where it becomes a problem, or someone has to take evasive action to avoid your car. So yeah, for now it's okay. Luke didn't really put anyone in that position, so that one is absolutely fine. As far as the stewards are concerned, from what I could gather.
Yeah, it is. Not really any battles going on really, only for P5.
Yeah, and obviously with Luke falling down the order because of what happened with Sem, we're not sure if Sem had an involvement in that, but as a result, that's allowed Bottas Menz to overtake him, so now Mercedes occupying 4th and 5th place. Now, that's not bad for them, but of course, they'll be gaining on Ferrari, but losing further ground to Racing Point, as now Bottas Menz getting very squirmish out of turn 9, and Sem looking like he can sniff that 5th place. It looks right, it's right there in front of him.
Oh, it's VOC!
Yeah, that's caused by
Kazi's
retirement. So Kazi making his debut for Ferrari has not gone according to the plan, and he's out of the race, and that's prompted a virtual safety car, which unfortunately with the game that does tend to happen. Not sure what happened to Kazi, if I'm honest, didn't really see.
Just crashed.
Just looking through, yeah, possibly. I can't see where the Ferrari is, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, virtual safety car's gone now. Back to green flag racing.
Sam going for it.
As Hetkamper goes for a move up the inside.
Oh, what a beautiful move by Sam. Simon still is there down the inside. Can he hang on to it? No.
Oh, that car's going to understeer. Can Sem avoid the Mercedes? He does. So yeah, but no, Simon goes for a move up the inside.
Oh.
Again, he lunges it in there. They bang wheels, but it looks like they're both able to continue without any further problems. Further behind, Hetkamper almost was very, very alert on the release of the virtual safety car. Sorry, yeah, so Hetkamper very nearly got ahead of Donkey. Very, very alert after the VSC. And but Donkey managed to spot that, managed to hold on, went around the outside in turn 1, and he stays in 7th place. Donkey, once again, a very quiet drive for most part, but once again, a solid points position for him. So Toro Rosso will be very happy with his performances so far.
Yeah. Toro Rosso doing actually quite well.
And obviously Luke further down in 10th place, he's having a hard time trying to negotiate his way past Joran. It's been a disappointing end to this race for Luke. The first stint was very, very good. The second one obviously went to the worst possible start with that collision with Darth FIFA, which I'm sure the stewards will have a look at, but for my mind, I feel that Luke was very much the victim in that position. There was nowhere really for him to go, but of course the stewards will be the one making the decision on that one. But nonetheless, what has happened afterwards, well, has been nothing short of unfortunate for him, but he's still trying to recover some points. And after what seemed a promising day for Williams, once again, Matthias, they are only at the moment going to get a point in this championship. What?
Oh, Danny or Donkey, sorry.
Oh, Donkey's been spun.
Oh no. Joran and Luke overtaking. So from P9 for fighting for P8, Luke. So
yeah, I was sort of saying Donkey.
Tim retired as well, so it's going to bring out a safety car. Cam is fighting for the last point.
Yeah, Karen might get a move up the inside. Oh! Is he going to make the move stick? Karen up the inside, but Donkey's holding it in there. Oh, it's getting very tight now, but Donkey will have the inside coming to turn 9. Is Karen going to be bold? Surely can't go around the outside. He does go around. What a move from Karen.
Absolutely amazing stuff.
Kerem is struggling to get it slowed down, but he's up into 10th position. I tell you what, that's one of the overtakes of the race round the outside of turn 9. It's difficult enough. It's difficult enough to get to make that corner.
Even making a move.
Yeah, it's difficult to make that. It's difficult to negotiate that corner in dry conditions on the normal racing line, let alone in the wet round the outside. At the end of the race, what a move from Kerem.
Oh, don't bottle it again in the same place. He got really close to bottling it once again, but he is still there in 9th place. Can you please check once again on the final lap on the penalties, because maybe we see some drivers losing positions due to penalties.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We've seen a few more penalties towards the end of this race, Matthias, and I think obviously some of the front runners will have to wait and see how that pans out, but I don't think it's going to affect the order at the front of the field. It may do so in the midfield. Or seeing in the chat that some of the guys seem to be of the opinion that it was Luke's mistake causing his incident with Darth FIFA. Now, of course, from where I saw it, from the camera angle I saw it from a very far back perspective. So obviously that's not going to be the camera's angles that the stewards will have when they look at that, so it might be different for them when they see it, but we'll have to wait and see what they decide at the end of the race. But now with the final lap of the race, Matthias, Kai
dominating.
Has to negotiate. He had absolute brilliant race from here. Now only, what, 13, 14 corners away now from recording an absolutely superb race win. We were talking about the 96 Spanish Grand Prix where Michael Schumacher dominated in the wet, winning that race by 45 seconds. Of course, not the same margin today, but an equally impressive performance from Kai, who we're starting to see, Matthias. Are we starting to see the man who is looking the red-hot favourite to win the Drivers' Championship this season? He's got 3 pole positions, a 2nd place, and looks like he's going to get 2 victories. Couldn't have asked for a better start of the season.
No, Kai is now entering sector 3. Luke going really deep on the brakes, so Cam might get 9th place from him.
Oh, don't get greedy now, Karen. You've got 1 point. But it's certainly on the cards here. There's now Kai just negotiating the final few corners now, Matthias. And, as we said before, a stellar drive, the number 9 for Racing Point. Getting on pole
Absolutely
position.
amazing. Amazing drive. So Kai deservedly wins the Spanish Grand Prix. Thomas gets home in second probably, but we'll have to watch the battle for P9. Yeah, Thomas comes home in second place as Cam is going for it down the inside of Luke. Luke once again making a slippery exit. Is he going to fall out of the points? I think he might be.
Oh, I tell you what, Luke went for it there. And it's really compromised him, and Donkey has got ahead of him into the points, so Williams now...
Oh my god.
It looks like once again the Williams team, after such promising qualifying, the Constructors Champions are going to fail to score for the third race in a row. Of course, penalties, we'll have to wait for penalties, Matthias. I'm not sure if... I remember seeing if Donkey might have got one. We'll have to wait as they cross the line now, but Williams going to go for a third race in a row without points in the Constructors Championship. Yes, no points for Williams. 3 races in a row to start the season. What a nightmare for the Williams team. Constructors Champions from last season, it's all changed, but boy, have they got a problem on their hands. But nonetheless, that is the race, Matthias, and it's once again in the rain in Spain. The rain in Spain falling all over, but not on this man's parade. It's Kai in the Racing Point, your race winner for Formula Euroleague. Are we looking at the champion in waiting? We always said for Kai it was a matter of time. Yeah, we always said for Kai it was a matter of time before he really got it together and started to see the rewards from his driving, and now we've got a real battle on our hands. What can Darth FIFA, what can the champion do to respond? And a Monster with an incredible podium, Matthias, round off the order, the provisional classification.
Kai wins for the second time in a row after having the best race of his career so far. From pole, fastest lap, leading every lap of the race and winning. In the second place is Thomas Monster, getting his first podium in a long time. Michael in 4th, Sam in 5th, Kute for Mercedes with Simon in 6th. Kute once again for Renault with Danny Hetkamp in 7th and Joran in 9th. Karen with 2 points and Donkey in 10th. 11th is Bendel, still no points for Williams. Monster Matthias in 13th, Steve in 14th, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, not to probe the obvious questions, Matthias, but sure.
Podium.
But I've got to ask before we do that, of course, with all respect to what Williams have achieved this season, what's been going through your mind now as team boss? Obviously, you've got 2 very quick drivers in your car, but for the 3rd race in a row, they failed to capitalise on the qualifying performances and score points. What is going on?
Bad luck, I have to say. I'm really on the edge of quitting as a team boss, but I got so much motivation when Felix and Tim got in, and now it's all gone. It's all gone. So no really motivation to continue as team boss, but it's for fun. It's for fun.
See, FEL Ferrari saying Matthias getting fired. Well, I certainly hope not.
Matthias gets fired. How can I get fired? I'm the boss. I'm Claire Williams.
Well, I'm sure it's in all good jest. I'm just recommending players now for the chat, Matthias.
Yeah, I'm going to have. Oh. I will invite Monster. Yeah.
In wings in Formula Euroleague, and is really putting the league on notice at the moment. Of course, The other point worth making, a separate notion, is the question that I had. So the question I had, Matthias, was mentioning Kimi Raikkonen having 6 DNFs at the Spanish Grand Prix, only one behind the driver with the record of 7. So do you know which driver that was?
No.
So the answer was Rubens Barrichello. A driver known for retiring from the Brazilian Grand Prix, his home race quite often, has 7 DNFs. So no, a lot of people said Maldonado, but no, it was not Maldonado. I'm not even sure Maldonado competed in 7 Spanish Grand Prix.
No,
Certainly won one. But we're just waiting for some of the guys to join us now, of course, for the interviews. But we've got our runner-up, Darth FIFA, with us. So Thomas, Darth FIFA, excellent job. Another podium for you this season, your 3rd of the season. 2nd place, of course, today. How do you feel about your performance today? Were you happy with that result?
Yeah, maybe the result after all, not that good. Okay, it's good, but P2 could have been better, but I was just stuck behind Tim for the entire first stint. So I'm happy the intros were faster after all. And then P2, not bad.
Yeah, certainly not an easy track to overtake on in Spain, even in wet conditions. And we saw, of course, yourself and Maiko having a very hard time passing Tim until eventually he cracked under pressure and obviously you were able to make the moves. Did you feel that perhaps you might have been able to catch Kai if you weren't stuck behind Tim so long? Or do you feel it was too far ahead?
Catching never, but I think if I was P2 on the grid and Kai P1, we could have had a battle to the end. But catching, I don't know. I think I'm just a bit slower in the race. If you are just equal at the start, I could maybe have done something. But yeah, that's my weakness in qualifying.
And it's yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. Actually, I was going to bring that up because obviously this season you've mentioned to me quite a lot in these interviews that your Achilles heel has always been qualifying. With that in mind, given that how strong Kai is in qualifying at the moment, is there anything that you're going to be able to do to go away and perhaps change to be more stronger in qualifying, or do you feel that what you're doing at the moment, what you have, should be enough in this championship battle with him? Because it's really hotting up at the moment.
Yeah, enough. It is not qualifying every time outside the top 5. It's just not good. It's not nice to be. I'm always far back at the start of the race. I always have to make up that gap and catch up. So, of course, I hope I will get better in qualifying, and also some luck going my way completely, and maybe some bad luck for Kai once. But that's literally my only chance to beat this guy, because he's proven this season that he's quick in the race and in qualifying. And I can be quick in the race, but if I'm not quick in qualifying, then I beat Kai.
No, I certainly agree, and of course I wish you the best of luck. Obviously, hopefully your qualifying form improves, because obviously we want to see a great battle between you two. We know you guys are very quick in the race, but of course we want to see you alongside him on the front row. So best of luck for the rest of the season. Of course, our 2nd place finisher, excellent job once again, our current reigning defending champion, Darth FIFA.
Yeah.
So,
and we have Monster.
Yes, Monster. Finally.
Wow.
Believe me, buddy, there's not many people happier than me to see you finally get on the podium. How
I'm happier than you, Adam.
Right now?
I am shaking. I don't know. I'm really
I feel
happy.
You.
It takes since season 3 where I got my last podium. That's
Whoa.
a podium where I really deserved it.
You really did. It's a P3 as well. After getting really close in Bahrain, but having contact with Kai, you finally had it, and you really deserve it. And I think this is a really good season for you so far. So hopefully you can continue the good mood you're in, and yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a good point, Matthias. Actually, I was going to ask, Monster, your qualifying has been excellent so far this season. You've been on the front row for almost every race so far this season. Do you feel that that is the big improvement that you've made that allows you to get these positions in the race? Because of course your race pace has been good, but qualifying is a massive improvement.
Yeah, it's really important that I got now a good quali pace. I'm really practicing qualies, and now it works. What should I say? I'm really speechless, sorry.
That's quite alright. So obviously looking ahead, we've got the two championship leaders in Kai and Darth Vader. Now, of course, you were there with them for the majority of that race, and you have been that way in a few races. Do you feel that perhaps you might be able to find yourself in that battle between them two for the championship?
Oh, I don't know. That's really, I don't think really that I have a chance to battle with them, because they're really consistent, and I don't think I have that pace to battle with them, because they're really fast, and yeah.
No, that's fair enough. Well, once again, excellent job today. Really glad you managed to convert that podium. Hopefully there are many more to come, but nonetheless, it's our third place finisher in the Haas Monster. Great job once again.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. Are we able to get hold of Kai Matthias, or
no,
has he
I
gone?
think he's
No,
gone.
Kai cannot join, unfortunately.
Oh, okay, no problem.
he got
Oh, well, that is
barbecue.
no. Oh, well, then it's a perfectly good excuse, and he can go off and celebrate that one. But yeah, once again, final thoughts on this race, Matthias, before we sign off.
Really good race. Lots of action, good collisions. Not in my favor. But some good battles and really fair battling as well. So I'm happy to see that, and really well done to the guys who got on the podium and in the points as well.
Yeah, no, well, that's absolutely right. It was a great race nonetheless, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Don't forget, guys, if you're watching this race live, don't forget to subscribe to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Formula_U_League, and make sure to check out our Tier 2 and Tier 3 races that happened earlier this weekend. And of course, if you are watching this on YouTube, as well as liking, sharing, and subscribing to that channel, you can watch these races live on the Formula EuroLeague Twitch channel, live at Sundays at 6:45 PM UK time, 7:45 European time. So all that's left to say is, once again, a great performance from Kai. Looks like he and the Racing Point team are very well poised to take this championship all the way to Ferrari and Darth Vader. But can he capitalise in the next race this time next week? Make sure to join us for that race at Formula EuroLeague. I've been Adam Burns, and my co-commentator Matthias as well. Thank you once again for hosting such a great stream.
Yeah.
And we will see you in the next race for Formula EuroLeague. Take care and good night.
Have a good night indeed.